Sometimes when I'm thinking about us, before we got lost and we parted, back to back we would carry on and we'd do anything for what we started. But this time we could break. I'm running dry, everything's the same. We'll try tonight, this time we're not safe and sound. Not safe and sound. What if I'm no good for you? What if you're no good for me? Yeah. What if I'm no good for you? What if you're no good for me? Yeah. Sometimes when I'm reasoning about us, I know you got me, it's so effortless. Back to back we would carry on and we'd do anything for what we started. But this time we could break. I'm running dry, everything's the same. We'll try tonight, this time we're not safe and sound. Not safe and sound. What if I'm no good for you? What if you're no good for me? Yeah. What if I'm no good for you? What if you're no good for me? Yeah. What if I'm no good for you? What if you're no good for me? Yeah. What if I'm no good for you? What if you're no good for me? Yeah. What if I'm no good for you? What if you're no good for me? Yeah. What if I'm no good for you? What if you're no good for me? Yeah. What if I'm no good for you? What if you're no good for me? Yeah. What if I'm no good for you? What if you're no good for me? Yeah. What if I'm no good for you? What if you're no good for me?
Welcome, everybody, to the FPV News with JB and ItsBlunty. Oh, I should let you introduce yourself. Shh.
That's fine. I'm ItsBlunty. How's
They
that?
know who you are.
Okay.
They might be a little confused because it's a Wednesday night, and we don't usually do the news on a Wednesday night.
That's true. That is true. I think you had a little bit of a hard drive malfunction.
Well, if by malfunction you mean I tried to move my operating system to a different hard drive, and then when that didn't work, I tried to move it back, and that didn't work, and then my computer wouldn't boot. More of I effed up my own hard drive a half hour before stream. I don't know.
Little
Ironically,
pibcac.
what's that?
Little pibcac action. Problem is between keyboard and chair.
Yes, yes. So we announced that we would be doing the stream tonight. We pushed it off a day, and then I quickly recovered from a hard drive image, so I keep hard drive images. And the good news is, like, my hard drive was fine. It's just like my Windows boot partition was messed up, so Windows was like, nah, I don't think I'm going to boot. And just like, forget it. I just recovered the whole hard drive from image. And ironically, my computer was back up again, like at 5 minutes after the hour, but I had already announced we were moving the stream. So I was just like, nah, let's just do it tomorrow. So
Yeah.
for those who like work on Tuesday nights, you get a special Wednesday stream.
Yeah,
Thank you, Blunty, by the way, for being willing to reschedule on short notice.
of course. Of course.
But we can't
Gotta
let a
do-
week go by without doing the news.
No, we got so much news. There's
Got
a
so
whole bunch
much
of news. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we got a lot of hot topics this week. The hottest topic is probably that Racedayquads they actually went and made oral arguments before the DC Appeals Court, and we'll be talking a little bit about that. But honestly, I really think you and I need to sit down and do like a whole listen through of it together, and we're not going to spend a whole half hour doing it tonight. But we'll get some highlights there. What are some other highlights from tonight, Blunty?
Well, unfortunately, we have a product recall we're going to talk about today, the Digisight V3. Quite a few of those are being recalled, so take a look out for that and check your email. You might be part of that. Yeah,
we'll have a link down there. If you've got a Foxeer Digisight, that's the SharkBite camera, not the...
Correct.
That's the SharkBite one. Yeah.
Yes.
Firmware error. So we'll have details about that, and a whole lot of racing news as well. Sorry. My wife doesn't know I'm streaming tonight. She thinks I was streaming last night. Hang on.
Got to tell the wife.
Anyway. We got some racing news, a whole bunch of information about upcoming racing series, both in real life and in the simulator. So if you're into racing, you won't want to miss that. And what else? Any other highlights?
Yeah, well, you can play Doom now on your Jumper T16, rounding out you can play Doom on most things now.
Right.
And add another to the list. This is Jumper T16.
Okay, we'll take a look at that. They couldn't let that go by. No, Brandon Beans, she knows my streaming schedule. She's expecting me to stream on Tuesdays, like I normally do. She's out of town, actually. That's why she's trying to call me to say hello. But that's... did I get married? Of course. I've been married for a long time. I'm pretty sure I'm married. Anyway. Let's start off, though. Let's start off with a highlight... some highlights of Racedayquads and the FAA. You know, Blunty, we've covered in many different ways, both in the news and on my channel. I've done interviews with Jonathan Ruprecht and Tyler Brennan talking about the case. And of course, they're suing the FAA about remote ID, which I know I've made many videos about remote ID and why it's bad and why we should hate it. So if you need to get caught up on any of that, that stuff is on my channel. But the thing that happened most recently is that they actually stood up in front of a federal court and did the thing. They had oral arguments, and we should get a sense of like what the judges thought. Like, you can't always read which way a case is going to go, because judges often like ask questions of both sides and then they write their argument. But there was some interesting stuff in there, Blunty. Where should we dive in?
Yeah, so just to quickly summarize, so this is Ruprecht versus Ross. So Ross is the FAA representative, the lawyer, and Ruprecht is is Tyler Brennan, RDQ's lawyer. And basically the 2 points that we've talked about before were they were trying to say, hey, this is a Fourth Amendment violation, and this is arbitrary and capricious that you did not take care of all the basically all the feedback that was given and all the comments. We feel you ignored some of the comments that would be vital. So they got in front of 3 judges here live, and we got to hear that live this morning. And there's a VOD for us to look at. So if we'll take a look at the second link in the show notes there.
149.
Yes.
All right.
It's going to end with this question. What do you want me to do? Great.
Hang on one second. Let me get myself off screen. Oh, hey there. I hate to be on screen when you're not. That seems unfair.
Basically, the judge is pitching him a hypothetical. I'm just giving a couple highlights here, but the judge is pitching him a hypothetical, and he's saying, like, I'm going to give you this hypothetical, and I want you to kind of explain to me how you would answer this, what you want me to do, right?
Okay.
So,
all right, here we go.
Yeah. Now, assume I think that this rule does not violate the Fourth Amendment in 99.9% of its applications. Because although Carpenter and Jones carved out some, I think, still narrow exceptions to this general rule, there is, I think, a general rule that what someone does in public is not private. And most of the time, I suspect, when people fly drones, it's in public.
Now, Blunty, let me pause it here real quick. Who's speaking here, Blunty?
This is one of the judges. I'm not sure which judge. I don't.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not.
So the judge is proposing a hypothetical.
Yeah, correct. There's 3 judges here. You'll hear 2 male judges and a female judge.
Okay.
And one of the judges here is proposing a hypothetical to Mr. Ross, the FAA's lawyer.
Okay, got it.
I'll even, for the sake of this, say that above your own tree line will count as in public. But there are going to be times where someone might not even leave the walls of their house, and they're flying a drone on their own property below the tree. And that drone and that person cannot be seen by anyone unless someone were to trespass on their property. In that instance, I think your rule is unconstitutional. Mm-hmm. What do you want me to write in an opinion if I get to write this?
Sure. For one, I will contest that. I don't want to fight the hypothetical.
I know,
but I will say just for purposes of clarity with respect to the rule scope, in all circumstances, it contemplates that operators will be within the line of sight of a drone, and so it's hard to imagine that you would be within the walls of your house and operating the drone outside. And so even if you're at the window and
we'll take them outside the house. I still think
sure. Yes, absolutely. I just wanted to clarify for purposes of the court's understanding. My understanding is that the rulemaking would have to be done again, because the technical specifications associated with identifying very specific places in which the rule would not apply are things that would require substantial reworking of the rule itself.
Yeah, you think?
Yeah, so I thought that was pretty interesting that they got the FAA lawyer to admit, like, yeah, I mean, in that case, we would have to go back and do the rule again. You know? Yeah.
So, and the FAA's perspective has always sort of been, gosh, you guys, what do you want us to do? Just rewrite the whole rule to take into account your freedoms? That'd be so hard. That's like if you said, hey, can I get a burger with extra pickles? And they were like, they're already in the pass. What do you want me to do? Just open it up and put extra pickles on it? Jeez.
Yeah.
This is going to be so hard.
Yeah.
I love that the judge mentioned the tree line. It shows that they have some awareness of protected operations.
Just to let you guys know, we'll look at one more clip here, but if you guys are interested, this is great. The whole thing is like this. From as soon as the FAA lawyer comes on, all three judges are like boom, 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 just for 30 minutes. They're like asking questions like this to the FAA lawyer. He even says a couple times, he's like, I don't know that this is within the scope of this case. And he's like, pretend like it is. Tell me the answer. It's pretty cool. So
yeah, we'll take a look at one more little clip that you pulled out, Blunty.
One more situation here. Let me set it up real quick. That so the judge here is talking about he's basically set up this situation where he said, okay, I'm in my yard, I'm under the tree line. He definitely mentions the tree line again. He's like, nobody can get to me, right? We're all covered and huddled away, right? Mm-hmm. So why is it a risk? Like, why is it a risk for drones, to come into that space? Like that seems a little crazy, that sort of thing. And, the FAA guy's like, well, we have to cover for all these cases. And this is kind of his response to that.
Particular ranch operator, say in the middle of Oklahoma.
Hang on, I'm going to back it up so we get the whole thing.
One particular ranch operator, say in the middle of Oklahoma, is using his own drone. That's not to say there might be another drone that would foreseeably collide with that drone, but it would be impossible to know that there was other.
What if I'm talking about on your property below your tree?
Even so, say there was still another drone that was coming into that space for one reason or another.
Would that other drone be trespassing?
That would be a separate question to bring an action against the other drone user.
A little bit extreme to say you can regulate what someone does with their drone on their own private property, because what they do on their property might interfere with what a trespasser does.
That may be the case, Your Honor, but I will return to my prior point that there's no way for FAA to foreclose any drone user from exiting their property with the device. And that's really
they could make the regulatory requirement that anybody who's not below the tree line on their own property needs to have this. And then if you're out and you don't have it, then you're not in compliance. I mean, there's lots of ways that this could have been written more narrowly. I recognize that isn't the rule we have, and this isn't actually the nature of the challenge even that we have before us, but we're just probing the interest of.
Is there more, Blunty?
Yeah.
You want to keep going?
Yeah, that's it. Yep. So you could see, the judges are trying to probe this as much as, to me, this is what I would have expected. I don't think the lawyers can really probe each other too much, so this is kind of what you would expect, I guess. But this is definitely what the argument a lot of us have talked about before. These are a lot of the same conversations we've had.
Exactly. And I don't know which way the case is going to go, and anybody who thinks they do know is wrong. But I do feel somewhat gratified to hear the judges taking it seriously. And what I've heard in the past when I've listened to like the Supreme Court arguments is that usually the judges will probe each side using the best arguments from the other side. And if you only listen to one of them, it sounds like they're going to go the other way. But it's really nice to hear when the topic is as obscure as FPV that the judges do seem to understand many of the arguments being made by Racedayquads. And whether they agree with them and whether we win the case, it's just nice to know that someone actually thought about the arguments we're making.
Yeah, they go through, like I said, they go through a lot of this stuff. Maybe we'll do a video later kind of covering all that. But they cover a lot of this stuff. But one thing I know that we should maybe mention is that Brendan Schulman has been big on this, and a couple other people have mentioned this. That basically, the concern here is that if there is some decision, because they also talk about covered airspace and like what jurisdiction the FAA has, lots of different parts of this, right? And the question is, if they, they say 500 feet and they talk about that limit and who owns what property and your rights to, search, unreasonable search. If they were to rule that and to say like, no, this rule has to be kicked back out, you have to go rework this rule, and we have to say, and we have to say like, you can't govern this area, and suddenly who's going to take care of that area? Like, does that open to the states and other local municipalities to govern these kind of areas?
Yeah, and we started hearing this argument way back when Remote ID was first proposed. Rotor Riot and Drew were talking about this. I think I don't remember if it's a senator or representative. I don't remember the guy's name, so I apologize for that. But there was a guy who had proposed to make like basically everything under 200 feet is your private, you own it as a private whatever homeowner, whatever, and take that jurisdiction away from the FAA. The FAA's current interpretation is that the federal government regulates everything down to the blades of grass, basically. And that sounds on its surface like a good thing, and it sounds like it makes sense because obviously I should be able to fly a drone in my backyard, right? The FAA shouldn't be able to tell me I can't do that. But the problem, and this is the argument that Brendan Schulman is making, is that you won't do that, because think about it right now. Do you control what you can do in your own backyard? Well, depending on where you live, no. You may have a homeowners association. You may have county rules. You may have city rules. You may have state rules. All of those things regulate what you can do on your property. And as soon as that is taken away from the FAA, suddenly now there's this patchwork of potentially worse requirements that is difficult to comply with.
Yeah. I'll be interested to see what the decisions look like and what the comments are on those decisions.
Yeah. So it's not necessarily I don't know.
I'll tell you, after I listened to it twice today. Listening to it, my opinion of it is that two of the lawyers, the two male lawyers, are very much of the side of like, this seems to overstep the bounds. And basically another lawyer, the female lawyer or the female judge is like, I don't know, but the two male judges seem like, I don't know, they're on the side of like, we can't do this, and they're going to push the rule back. But I don't know. It will depend on like, how they end up settling, what the scope of this case is versus like other cases that could be brought too, So.
Yeah. Hold on a second. We have I'm not sure what happened there. I think we had a little moderation oopsie. I'm going to just try to fix it real quick. Don't hide people. Not sure what happened. I assume that was an accident. Sorry about that, One IFPV. I'm not sure what happened there. Okay, sorry, Blunty. I lost you there at the end, but I think we're just about done with this one. Apologize for trailing off there.
Yeah, so I mean, I think like we said, we'd like to go into this in more detail maybe in the future, but if you are any kind of interested in this, I encourage you to go to the link in the show notes and check out this conversation. It's pretty good.
Yeah. And we will schedule some kind of a dedicated, like I want to just sit there and watch the whole thing with you and kind of react to it in real time. So, alrighty. Mike Crabtree. Temporarily, Mike, Mike, I don't know why it says Mike Crabtree is hiding people in the chat, and I assume it was an accident, but now Mike says he didn't do it. So I'm just real quick temporarily going to remove your moderator status. No offense, but if you're hiding people and you don't know why you're doing it, I'm just going to take away your moderator status real quick until we figure it out. No offense, Mike. Nothing personal. Let's move on to the next topic of the night. Just a little public service announcement. Foxeer recalls Digisight V3. If you have a Digisight V3 camera from Foxeer for your SharkBite system, your HD0 system, there is a problem with it, a green-blue tint issue. It relates to the firmware on the camera, and the only way to fix it is for you to send your camera back to Foxeer, and they will... you have to pay shipping, and then they'll give you a coupon for compensation from the Foxeer store, which isn't quite the same thing as paying your money back. But if you have the problem, at least they're trying to make it fix it.
Yeah, I'll just say this is another in our ongoing complaints about QC. Do QC. This is bullshit.
This is bullshit.
It's like, this is a problem because, like, not only is this something that they fucked up on and they didn't do QC when it came out, but also people were telling them on Facebook when they posted pictures of this green tinted stuff. Like, I saw these posts. And people were like, people were like, don't ship this camera. And they had already taken pre-orders for this camera. I'm of the opinion that they knew this already. They shipped it out, and then they took care of this because people got mad. That's my personal opinion because I saw the history here.
How bad is the green tint? I haven't seen it.
It's not great. It's like not the worst, but it's like there's a problem. Like, you can tell it's green, right? When you look at the picture.
And so now they're saying, oh yeah, it was the wrong firmware. Yeah, you guys were totally right. And it's like, people were like, hey, your camera is effed up. Don't ship it. And they were like, yeah. And then people were like, no, it's effed up. And they were like, oh, God damn it. Oh, okay, we shipped it with the wrong firmware. Send it back.
And maybe they're trying to say, like, oh, like, all these were already flashed, and then we went to go flash them back, and they didn't get flashed before they shipped or whatever. But, like, it's a problem. So
at least, I mean, I gotta, like, try to be the voice of reason. At least they're, like, doing anything about it instead of just going, oh yeah, no. Like look at the iFlight Beast H7. I hate to pick on iFlight.
That's true.
They sold the iFlight Beast H7. It has this issue where D-Shot doesn't work right or the barometer doesn't work right. There is no fix. If you bought one, F you. There's nothing. Yep. I mean, they're not offering your money back as far as I know. And they're like, hey, live with it. And so at least they're saying, hey, send it back and we'll fix it and we'll give you a coupon in the store, which is... They're not,
I get it, but, like, yeah, I don't. It rubs me a little bit the wrong way to go, we fucked up on the camera, so you ship it back, and then we'll give you a coupon for that value. Like, it seems like they should be like, hey, we'll pay for your shipping. But, because you got to order again to use the coupon. You know what I mean?
I know. That's the thing. From a business perspective, it totally makes sense. They're not, a business will do everything it can to avoid paying you cash. So what they're going to do instead is they're going to give you this coupon, and basically they lose the product, but they still cover the product. You know, they more or less cover the product because I think it's a $25 coupon on a $50 order, which is basically their margin. They may even be making a tiny bit of profit on it.
Yeah, well, that's if you keep the camera, and then otherwise they'll give you the coupon for the value of the shipping. So, like, I don't know. It's cool that they are doing, they are going to take care of these at least for people, but I don't know, man. It's just like, this is another case of, like, either your QC was really bad or your QC was bad and you, like, shipped something you shouldn't have shipped because you didn't wait long enough to make sure it was correct. So.
And all these people defending them and saying, oh no, the green tint is on purpose. It's supposed to be like that. Shut up.
Well, they fixed it, so
it's not on purpose. Anyway, that's how it is. If you don't like it, get a new hobby. Because that's just how it is. F you.
I will also say Foxeer said yesterday that it would take 3 days. Within the next 3 days, you should get an email if you did have an order through an approved vendor who, like, knew they shipped you the wrong camera. If not, you should reach out to Foxeer and find out. So.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. Well, let's talk about some good news. ExpressLRS 2.0 is out, and there are some amazing new features. I don't know if we should just, like, go through the feature list or what. How do you want to approach this, Blunty?
Yeah, we can try to bang through it real quick. There's a lot of cool stuff in here, man. We commented on it a little bit when the release candidate came out, but I know we didn't go too deep. So basically, let's run through them real quick then. So one of the big ones is there's a new Lua. The new Lua lets you change a lot of stuff on the fly. So when you're compiling, you don't have to do as much stuff. So now you can you can set model match and stuff when you're doing stuff. You can enable and disable telemetry and change your telemetry settings. You get configuration stored per model. You have receiver numbers. You have trying to think of what else. You could change like wide switch mode, which is the next thing.
The ability to have 128 position switches, which basically is, if you're using aux channels, that's as much as you could possibly need. And frankly, even for servos, that's going to be acceptable. Like, you probably wouldn't want to use it for ailerons, but you would probably be okay using it for flaps, or maybe even like a camera gimbal. 128 positions would be enough resolution. So you used to have to compile that in. Now you can just turn it on or off in the Lua script. Very cool.
Yeah. So that, it flips on and off. So again, that switch mode is not set at compile time. There's new syncing behavior to make it sync better when the two receivers are having issues syncing, or there's a little bit of wishy-washiness. Basically, they've got a new Bluetooth setting inside.
This is hot.
Inside your module. So if you need a Bluetooth joystick for your computer or your phone or whatever, you can just set it up on the Lua, and you can bind to anything with Bluetooth and then use it as a joystick or controller.
Yeah, that's hot. That's hot because that's something I've said before, that like Orca sells a Bluetooth module that goes into JR Bay on the back of your radio. It's like $30. I think it's on sale for like $25. This is something that is built into most ExpressLRS modules made today, if not all. I think pretty much all the ones made today use the EP chip that has that built in, right? Very few things now are doing STM because it's honestly easier to get the SP anyway. So it means that you have a Bluetooth-based joystick controller. If you have ExpressLRS, it's just there, and they just had to enable it in firmware. That's so good. Very exciting. I don't know. How's the latency? Do we know anything about the latency?
I haven't seen anybody actually test it with like a switch built into the radio to do the end-to-end stuff. I know the script Bry was using doesn't really support the way the Bluetooth works. So I don't know if anybody has a good way to actually do end-to-end with the switch flip and like do real control testing. That would be cool. Dynamic power is here now, so you can dynamically set your power based off telemetry. Just like you can do in your Crossfires and I believe a Ghost. Let's see. So we've got VTX administrator now. So similar to the Crossfire TBS Wi-Fi system, or to the Ghost, the Tramp IRC Tramp stuff they have. Now you can basically use your VTX. Basically set your VTX up in Betaflight like you normally would, and then your ExpressLRS receiver can control that from your TX. And with most TXs, you can do that without any extra setup. And then you can also add a chip to your VRX, so your like Fusion, your TBS Fusion, or your Rapid Fire, and then you can have all those controlled and switched from your TX.
And this is really hot because with Crossfire and Ghost, you can either control your VTX via smart audio through the flight controller, or you can control it via the Ghost or Crossfire system, but they don't sort of interact with each other. And I think what ExpressLRS has done now is that you can control from the ExpressLRS script your VTX, but then your VTX can still be connected via smart audio and doesn't have to be connected directly to the receiver, which means you're getting the best of both worlds.
Yeah, it's sending the commands to the FC, and the FC handles it. So it's saying, like, switch to 25, switch to this channel, and then whether it's Tramp or Smart Audio.
Which is honestly how I always thought it should work, and it just doesn't. But this is really hot because you could go in and use the VTX command line options to change power using a switch on your radio. And then you could just as easily pick up your radio and use the ExpressLRS Lua script to change settings. It just kind of works. And of course, why wouldn't it be that way? So that's really hot.
So we've got all that stuff. We've also got home Wi-Fi. So now if you've got a Wi-Fi you're always around, you can set a home Wi-Fi credentials in your receivers and your transmitters, and then everything will just auto connect to Wi-Fi. You don't have to do all the weird Wi-Fi connection setup. So you can flash everything.
Don't have to connect to a little hotspot.
Yeah, and then you can flash everything over the network through the
and it auto discovers too, doesn't it?
Exactly. You'll go in the configurator, and then you just do the drop down, and it'll be like, here's your list of ExpressLRS devices. Pick which one you want to work on. So
yeah, and that's great. Like I literally have, in fact, here I'll show you. My computer, my desktop computer, doesn't have Wi-Fi built into the motherboard. Who cares? It's a desktop computer. It's just plugged into the Ethernet. But when I go to flash a receiver, an ExpressLRS receiver, I have to pull out my phone, right? I have to put the file on my phone, and then using my phone's Wi-Fi, I flash the receiver over Wi-Fi. So I bought this little USB Wi-Fi adapter for my computer, so I could flash directly from the computer. But now the receiver will just get on my home's Wi-Fi network, and I can flash it straight from my computer. It's so hot, so hot.
Yeah,
so hot, so good.
We've also got some telemetry improvements. So there's support for Yapu and KISS Lua scripts. I know those were big. We've also got support for Betaflight Lua, VTX Administrator, stuff like that. It automatically sets telemetry ratios for that. We've also got basic OLED support with status information, and then advanced OLED support will come in 2.1 with the joysticks and all the other settings. We've also got megabaud. So CRS Crossfire V3, CRSF V3 was one of the things they touted was that faster between the TX and between the TX module and the radio. So now we can do that in ExpressLRS with Edge TX 2.5 by increasing our baud rate all the way up to 3.75 million. So you can get that super reduced latency between the mixer and the radio backpack or the radio module.
Nice. Nice.
Yeah, and just a bunch of other stuff. Accurate version numbers are set up, so you don't have to know build numbers. Direct PWM output support in 2.0. Then a whole bunch of other bug fixes, new hardware, all kinds of stuff. So yeah,
fantastic stuff.
It's awesome.
Very exciting stuff. And like I was saying the other day, the exciting thing about ExpressLRS is that if there is something you want that it doesn't have, like it'll in 6 months it'll have it. It's developing so fast. It's really exciting. Yeah. So, but that's ExpressLRS 2.0, and keep up the good work, ExpressLRS team. Next up, Blunty, we've got some race-related stuff. Some races that are coming up. The first one is Street League Vegas, and this is what is Street League? I'm not sure I've heard about this.
So Street League is hit up that link, that third link, that Facebook link, maybe.
Okay.
And maybe that's a little more clear there. So Street League is basically where they made these practice rigs and also these like 7-inch rigs, and basically they're meant to emulate the weight and shape and size of a DRL Racer 4. So essentially, without cloning the Racer 4, they've got that setup. So you've got and I guess if you click that's actually it right there. I've also got it in the show notes. But if you click that Street League rulebook, I've got that in the show notes too for anybody. But this gives you an idea of what the spec actually looks like. So here's your choices of motors and batteries and propellers. So what you can have, on the quad.
Yeah. So basically, it's DRL style racing for people who aren't. Oh, sorry, wrong scene. DRL style racing for people who aren't DRL pilots,
or for people who are DRL pilots. Some DRL pilots also participate in Street League because they like racing the same quads and they have a good experience.
There you go.
So one of the things we're talking about here, Street League Vegas, where some of the DRL pros will be there. On that first imager link, there has a list of those people. But Amari, Gab, Vanover, Sky, Nubb, and Manny himself will all be there, including some other folks. If you wanted to race against some people who are professionals at this kind of stuff.
And show them how fast you are compared to them.
Yeah.
Apparently Imager is taking a shit right now, so I can't show that. But
well, that's not great. Okay.
Yeah, so F you, Imager.
All right.
Here we go. There we go. So that's coming up. That is, $500 first prize, $300 second prize, and $200 third prize. So, I mean, there's even some cash on the line if you can make it out to Vegas. But, of course, we all do it for the love of the game.
Yeah, we've got links also to their Discord in there. If you want to know more about it, you can hop in the Discord or hop on the Facebook, and they'll let you know what's going on.
What's the date?
For
this race. I don't see it in the show notes.
That is on, sorry, I didn't pull that. That is on the page on events. Give me a second.
I just thought it would be nice to call it out for people who are like, oh, I might go to Vegas and race.
Yep, I just forgot to list it.
Yeah, it's okay. When is it?
January 7th, 2022.
Okay, so you have a little bit of time to go build a quad if you don't have one.
Yes.
All right.
And that'll be in Vegas. So, cool.
All righty. The next one up is the good old WeBleed Whoop Series, which we talked about in the past when you were competing on it. The WeBleed Whoop Series is a Velocidrone-based tiny whoop racing series. And I think you're going to have a lot harder time winning because this year, the very first qualifier, if you will, is happening, where people grind tracks and try and get the best time. And there's a huge number of entries.
Yeah, it's exciting. We're halfway through it. And the first track is 143. We got 125 and 108 across the 3 tracks so far. So at least 108 people have set qualifying times across all 3. If you go to that second link in the notes there, we've got the current leaderboard lineup, so you can check that out. This says updated 12/12, but it was actually pulled this morning. So this is fairly current where everybody's at. The top 14 will be the captains, and then the top 70 will qualify. So.
Are you competing this time, Blunty?
Yeah, I'm in 16th there. I'm trying.
Oh, that's mighty respectable, Blunty. Come on. I mean, but you were
happy with it, but yeah.
You were a lot higher than 16 last time.
Yes.
So it looks like I got some competition.
I qualified around that place, but we ended up getting second as a team.
Yeah.
But I was trying to get in the captain's spot. But I don't know if that's going to happen. We've had a couple more fast people qualify. So.
And I am sponsoring this, actually. I signed up to sponsor. I had such a good impression of it. I wanted to be a part of it. And that's my excuse for why I am not on the leaderboard.
I think some of the other sponsors are on there, but that is okay that you want to keep
Yeah, no, I felt like it would be a conflict of interest.
Fair enough.
And not be. I should try. I mean, these guys are grinding all month, so I mean, I'm not gonna spend hours and hours of grinding. That's not my vibe. But I should at least try to get somewhere on the leaderboard.
It'd be cool to see where you end up, or like how fast people are and stuff. You know,
it is. I mean, I always go out and I always run the multi-GP global qualifier, and I never intend on going to nationals. Not because I have anything against it, but just because I know that I'm not going to win, and I'd just rather that seat go to somebody else who's going to appreciate it more. But I always race the GQ just to find out like where I qualify and how bad I am in the world, or how good. And so even if you didn't intend to do this, you could just go in there and try and get on the leaderboard and see where you're at. It's really nice to know where you stand.
Also, I'll just say leaderboard smashing is a little different than other stuff, because once you get fast, you're kind of looking for the miracle laps, is what I call them, where oh, I happened to clip that corner perfectly, and I happened to hit this turn, and then I made all 3 laps and I got a time. When you're smashing for a month, there's a lot of that, like bleeding edge. How fast can I go? Let me slide a 3 lap in here. So.
No, miracle lap is right. I mean, I've been there. Not in the simulator, or way back when I used to play Gran Turismo, and you're trying to get that platinum medal, and you have 1 lap that's 3 seconds faster than all your previous laps, but then you just crash out and you're like, fuck, I almost had it. Yeah. And then one of these times you put it all together and you get the golden lap. So
I'd encourage anybody who even if you're not into it, if you've got Velocidrone and you're interested in hopping in, it's Velocidrone, the Whoop Pack, and I think you need the Freestyle Pack for one of the tracks.
Well, and there's like $6,000 in prizes. So, I mean, if you did decide to go for it, there's a lot of money on the line. Yeah,
current prize pool is $6,700, $6,737, and expected to be over $7,000. It was $6,600 yesterday, so expected to be over $7,000.
Does it cost anything to enter?
Yeah, so if you place in the top 70, once you get to the end, then you'll pay in $20. So your $20 entry.
So if you own Velocidrone with the Whoop Pack, it costs you nothing to do the leaderboard smash, and that's open until when? When does that
December 31st. The end of the night, December 31st. So,
okay, so you got another 2 weeks to smash that leaderboard.
Yeah, so it was smaller last year. We had less pilots. We did 42 pilots, and we did, I think, 8 or 9 teams, something like that. On second, each of us got paid out $160 a piece. So it's not bad. It is a lot of racing, but you'll get a little bit in PayPal at the end if you make it. So
EDOC in the Discord points out that a lot of the people who are on the leaderboard right now can't actually participate. They've just, I don't know Why can't they participate?
Either they like just wanted to race the time to see where they land, like maybe you will do, or like they just, when the time comes, they won't be able to pay, or they don't want to pay, or they won't be able to do the time. So some of them are like German and it's 1 a.m. for them or whatever. So when the races will happen.
Oh, I see. Right. I hate to think that somebody got a good time, but they couldn't race for lack of $20 to enter the race. That would be sad.
Well, I hope that's not the case, but I know last year we had quite a few people. I don't know how many exactly, but we had a couple people who weren't able to make that in the top 70. We pushed into under that in the bracket. So
that's a shame. Let me figure that out. Alrighty. Well, that's the WeBleed Whoop Series. I think that's it for racing. What do we got next, Blunty?
All right. So DJI has been added to the U.S. government blacklist. However, it's not as bad as we thought. That's kind of how I would preface this.
Aren't they already on the U.S. government blacklist?
So they're on the entity list, which is sort of a blacklist. Yeah, so they're on the list that says, like, hey, if you do stuff in the U.S., you can't send it to DJI. If you do technology or products, you can't send it to DJI. That's how it's been before, up to this point. They're on the entity list. So now they've been added to what they're calling the Chinese Military Industrial Complex Companies Blacklist.
Oh.
And so that list says that, and there's already like 60 companies on this list, but basically that list says like nobody in the US is allowed to make any investment in a company on this list. So for most people, that's not a concern. That's not really a thing because DJI doesn't take money from US people or companies, but they are at least on this list.
I'm confused, and I apologize, Blunty, if you don't, because you're hardly a financial expert. Yeah. But does that mean that if I wanted to buy a share of DJI, DJI is a publicly traded company, right?
It is not. That's the problem here. That's my confusion here.
I see.
DJI
I was
is
like,
not publicly traded.
They're not.
And DJI doesn't have any way to really buy into them. And I don't know how many U.S. companies are putting money into DJI in any way. So this may be just like a political thing. I'm not exactly sure. I expected more of a Huawei thing where in the Huawei case, there was a government, I think there was an executive order by Trump back when Trump was the president. And he was the one who decided that in addition to the entity list, Huawei will not be allowed to be used by any telecommunications providers.
Right.
And that's what basically banned Huawei from the country as a device because you can't use it anymore.
So they're saying that you can't invest in DJI, but individuals like us couldn't invest in DJI anyway. Correct. Theoretically, a company like a Google or an IBM or I don't know, could invest in DJI at the corporate level. They could partner together, and that's now prohibited, but that doesn't really affect us. And it doesn't in any way affect the ability to import DJI products by individual consumers.
Yes. And
worth pointing out that for people in FPV, none of these products are made by DJI anyway. They're made by Cadex and RunCam. Yeah. So
part of the question here is, will the outlook of this, the way it looks to people by ending up on this list, change the way that people will use DJI in general, stock DJI, look at DJI as a company? Or will it be just like it is now, and there won't be any real change to anyone's perception of DJI? So maybe that will be, long to be seen, but really, I don't think much change for most people, this being.
So far. I mean, I guess the concern would be that there's a lot of sort of saber rattling and, and that, steps are taken that may eventually end with a prohibition on importing DJI technology. But so far, we're not there yet.
Yeah.
Anyway, Madstech in the chat. Good to see you, Madstech. Madstech says you could argue that the early buyers of the Mavic 3 were investors because they sure as hell weren't treated like customers. Ouch. Anyway. Right. Didn't DJI buy into Red Cat? No. No, not in any way. Long Dollar Bill asked that. DJI sponsored some Rotor Riot episodes.
Yeah.
The same way that, Asus sponsors a Linus Tech Tips episode about their laptop. DJI paid Rotor Riot to make episodes involving DJI products. That's not an investment. And they certainly, I don't know if DJI owns Red Cat stock in some way. It's a publicly traded company, but no. Quad Dog says no one's buying into Red Cat lol. I'm sorry. Red Cat raised $60 million in a public offering. So a whole lot of people bought into Red Cat. Yeah. Say what
They've
you
got the
will.
money. Yeah,
They got-
whatever
they got-
you want to say. They got
I mean,
the
I
money.
feel like I mean, that's not really the topic of the news, but when that happened, I was like, for all the ways that people in FPV love to hate, when you do an IPO and people give you $60 million, like, okay, I mean, I got to give you that one. Okay. If you raised $60 million, it's a lot of freaking money. Somebody believes in you. Anyway.
Yeah. All right.
Quad Doc says Red Cat shares are tanking. Yeah. Okay. Why are they still?
Well,
I don't know. Whatever.
They tank and they go back up. They tank, they go back up. They tank and they go back up.
Buy the dip! Buy the dip!
If you look at the history. The other thing I would say is that, like, if you paid attention to anything we've talked about here or they've talked about in their things, they have Teal drones that's about to pump out a shit ton of drones because they've been manufacturing them for months now. And they're going to sell a dog shit ton of them, and the next revenue stream will be amazing. So
yeah, looks like
prepare for that.
Yeah. Anyway, that's not really the topic for the news, though. Next up, we got something positive, something to feel good about, and that is another gift box. One of the great things about doing nice things in the world is inspiring other people to do nice things, and that's what's happened here. We covered the SpeedyCares Pay It Forward gift box, where basically you get a box of crap in the mail, and then you take some crap out and you put some crap in and send it on to the next person. That's kind of cool. Well, there's a new one. Who's doing this new one?
So Fullsend FPV is a store here in Denver, and they have decided to do the same thing. So they are basically doing a tiny whoop version of the traveling gift box that Speedy Turtle has done, the SpeedyCares package. So they've got a little form you can fill out to just let them know who you are and to get you on the list. And then I've also got a couple of things in the show notes just with a video and some pictures so you can see what's in that box now. But they've loaded it up pretty well to start.
Primed it, if you will.
Yeah.
The big question here is always, what if somebody just steals the whole box or takes all the good shit out and sends it on? And, there's always bad actors who may ruin things for everybody. And there's things that SpeedyCares tries to do to help prevent that from happening. And presumably similar things here. But for the time being, at least, let's just try and keep it positive and keep it going. And if you're interested in participating, we've got a link in the show notes to where you can participate. So
cool.
Yeah. All right.
All right.
Next
so go sign up for that if you want to take some stuff and give some stuff. All right. So next up, we got a couple stories about some electric vehicles and such. Renault has revamped. This is a cute little story. Has revamped its 1960s 4-liter car. They made an eVTOL out of it. So now basically all the companies.
That's so dumb.
Yeah, but it's kind of cool because now it's to the point now where it's like becoming a cool thing. It's like becoming a hype, thing now to like do this kind of stuff, which is pretty neat. Because before it was like, hey, this is fringe stuff and it's never going to happen. And now even major car companies are like, hey, let's advertise by making an eVTOL.
Yeah,
so.
It is cool that drones and multi-rotors are becoming more sort of cool. And people are like, hey, let's make a drone out of this. Make a drone out of that. I mean, at the end of the day, this, like, how many episodes of Flight Test are, hey, let's take a quadcopter and stick something on it. This is basically just an episode of Flight Test writ large. So kudos.
100%. Yeah, let's make a car fly. So pretty cool.
Anyway, really cool. We got one other cool / weird electric item.
Yeah,
for the news.
so Rolls-Royce is involved now in some electric vehicle stuff. They have developed the Spirit of Innovation.
What the fuck is happening here?
Yeah, give it a second.
Can I just see the damn? Oh, for real?
I was gonna say, give it a second there.
For real? What the fuck is your stupid website? Rolls-Royce.
Oh, the link broke. Cool. Thanks.
No, here it is, and then it had something popped up on the page, covering the page. There we go. Oh, there it is. What is this? I don't know. Rolls-Royce. Make cars, not websites. Well, anyway, tell us. Oh, there we go.
Boom.
Continue,
all right.
Please.
So they built the Spirit of Innovation, which is what they're saying is the fastest electric vehicle in the world. I assume that's manned because it's manned. And then because all the different things it can do. But 387 mile per hour speed record they set in a manned, fully electric, completely electric vehicle. So
that's cool.
Pretty cool.
Yeah. I don't know how much electric, like airplanes tend to run the engine at high throttle and sort of just stay there most of the time. So whereas with cars, when you go from internal combustion to electric, you get this amazing torque advantage. And, you know, push you back in the back of your seat and great 0 to 60 times and whatnot. I'm not sure how much of a difference that's going to make with airplanes, where you can run the motor pretty much in the power band pretty much all the time. Nevertheless, there's no question that electric is, you know, getting high performance electric vehicles is sort of a way to the future. So it's exciting that they're doing this.
Yeah, pretty neat. Just more electric vehicle stuff in the aerospace industry.
Yeah. Next up, we got some community spotlights, Blunty. Just a couple more things before we finish for the evening.
Yeah.
The first one is another entry from our friend, let me say his name correctly, our friend Sander DeBronner. He does RF-related testing. He tested some antennas from DJI and Happy Model, and lately he has tested the ES24TX Pro ExpressLRS micro module. And that's significant because I've heard from some people that this is like currently the go-to module for people who are looking for good quality and performance.
Yeah, so he goes through here and he sets each power and then gives you the output just to make sure everything is kosher. So most of them are pretty on point. 250 milliwatt turned out to be 318, 500 is 695, and then 1 watt was actually 1.352 watts.
So it's coming out a little hot is the takeaway.
Yeah, and held 1.352 watts or 1.33 watts, like was there after 15 minutes.
Yeah.
So yeah, seems to be seems to be good to go there.
Yeah, the ability to maintain these powers over time with as the module heats up.
The fan was running in the module, but it was in a normal room temperature, no extra cooling or anything. So.
Yeah. Now he's complaining. He's like, "Hey, 500 milliwatts, it put out 700 milliwatts. Oh my goodness, that's not." And I'm like, you know what? I think we're going to be okay with that. If it's putting out a little extra power, I think everybody's going to be okay with that.
Yeah. So he was, and his suspicion was after the 1.3, he's like, oh, maybe it's like coming up and then it'll throttle once it like rolls out with temp and stuff. And he's like, nope, it just hangs out. So
yeah.
If you want a nice and high powered ELRS receiver or ELRS module, it's definitely going to be be there.
And he puts it on the network analyzer for the antenna. Sorry, go ahead.
He's got summaries of all his testing, so you can see all his testing and stuff. How he does it, tries to explain a lot of his information. He also lists some contact information if you need to test anything or get anything tested. You can send stuff to him and he'll do it for you.
Yeah,
so
he's happy to do it. Very cool stuff. And he's got a Patreon if you want to support the work that he's doing, which that is, let's just, for people, whoops, no, there we go. For people who are wondering, is that this module?
Yes.
That's this one, right?
Yes, correct.
I didn't know this one went up to 1 watt. That's the new one with the fan built in. I see.
Correct. Yeah, that's the new Pro version of their
Gotcha.
module.
The original one didn't go up to 1 watt. It's the slim module that I've heard recommended in the past. Wow. Oh, wow. They're not fooling around with that heatsink. Jeez. Okay. Alrighty.
So
well,
pretty solid.
It'll be interesting, Blunty, because I've got the Axis Flying module, which also does 1 watt, and is $120. And I think it's going to be, with this module putting out good results, I think it's going to be a tough sell to get people to pay $120 for the Axis Flying module. But I guess the argument is that you get consistency with the Axis Flying one.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know, man. That's a lot of money. So.
Yeah, it is. That's like the whole point of, not the whole point of ExpressLRS, but it certainly is a point.
The selling point, that's for sure. Obviously, you're competing with Crossfire Lite on that one, and I bet there's people who have like different radios who will want the different input so they can use it. But I think for anybody on an OpenTX or EdgeTX radio, it's going to be a hard sell to buy $127 Axis module.
Yeah, I agree. Well, my review of that is actually at the editor right now, so it'll be coming out tomorrow or probably tomorrow. So we keep an eye on that. There's an ongoing joke, Blunty, that you could play Doom on damn near anything.
Yeah.
People have played Doom on smart refrigerators.
Yeah.
Toasters.
Yeah, all kinds of stuff.
But this blew my mind when I saw it. I was just browsing Reddit. I swear to God, I was just browsing Reddit and I saw this. Doom ported to a Jumper T16.
Yeah, and playable.
Yeah, playable. Like with the joysticks.
Yeah, originally he posted it without it being playable, and then everybody was like, this is amazing. He's like, all right, well, give me a minute. And then 3 days later, he was like, all right, I did it. And he made it playable.
Now, it's worth pointing out, he said that he could have made it run side by side with OpenTX, but there isn't enough storage space on the unit. Yeah. So you have to flash it. You flash the radio, and the only thing the radio will do is play Doom. And then if you want to use your radio as a radio, you flash it back to OpenTX or EdgeTX. So,
but pretty cool. All
still,
the same.
like, it's literally, this is not a joke. This is not a trick. You can download this and flash it to your radio and play Doom on your radio if you so desire.
We've got a link to the GitHub. So you will, like we said, you do lose the bootloader, so you got to go back. But
yeah,
pretty
crazy.
cool.
I mean, if I really wanted to play Doom, I would just play Doom on PC. But still, I'm astounded that someone did this. It's great.
But now you can say you can.
Yeah. Yep. I mean, until you can play Doom on something, does it even really exist?
Right. Yeah. The T16 is now real.
The one thing the T16 has over the Radio Master, because this doesn't work on the Radio Master. This is just the Jumper T16.
Yeah, I imagine the build is directly for the T16. So, yep.
Yeah. Alrighty, we got one more, Blunty. Last up, what do we got here?
All right. So, if you thought, hey, man, I tried this freestyle stuff, but this freestyle stuff is so hard, and I practice a lot, but I can't really get it and stuff. Maybe you should practice some more. So that's all I'm going to say here. This guy figured it out.
Now this is I mean, I assume this person has only one hand, and that's why he learned to fly this way.
That's correct. Yeah, this is one left FPV, and he flies with one hand, one finger on each gimbal. And he is doing some freestyle here for us.
And I have to say, I heard there's this guy, he flies with one hand, and I thought, okay, sure. And I expected it to be like, yeah, okay, he's definitely flying. I didn't expect, he's like he's good.
Yeah.
I mean, if you could fly at all with one hand, I'm like, damn, dude, more power to you. But, like, he's doing trippy spins, and he's just, like, flying freestyle. I can't do half the shit he's doing, and I have two hands. So, like, I can, Jesus Christ. I'm astounded. Stop with the trippy spins! You son of a... I spent 2 hours today working on trippy spins, Blunty. I'm not joking. This guy's rubbing it in. That's epic.
Yeah.
That is epic.
So if you guys like this, normally I'm not so adamant, but if you guys like this, please go subscribe to Mr. One Left here. His stuff is in the show description. If you want to go check it out, he's got quite a few videos. He's been doing this for a while and getting better and better. So, go support him, man.
When people ask, do you thumb or do you pinch? He's like, neither.
Neither. Yeah.
I pinky and index.
Yeah.
This is incredible. This is really incredible. It really is. I'm absolutely astounded that he's able to.
So Brussels says that was a figure 8 trippy spin. Yeah, he's pretty sick, man.
Like, how do you get the isolation of the sticks to be able to do some of these moves without like jerking the other hand? I can't even begin to imagine. So this guy's really something. And I don't feel 100%, like this whole, like, oh, let's use disabled people as inspiration. So this idea, like, what's your excuse? That's just a title for the video. But, I mean, his flying stands for its own, regardless of what his physical capabilities are. It's just incredible.
Good stuff. Good stuff.
Yeah, good stuff. Should try it on sim. Yeah, PDX FPV. Good thinking. Should try that on sim and see how it goes. Before we finish up for the evening, Blunty, let me get some of these super chats out of the way. We've had some super chats come in. Miguel T, thank you for a $10 super chat. Several of my Ant Light FPV cycles, Ant Light F cycle seem to die once the battery goes below 3.6 on 1S Baby Tooth. Happens with different FC and different motors. Is this a known issue? Your Ant Light FC. His Ant Light, an Ant Light is a camera, but then he says F cycle Ed.
Is there an FPV cycle version of the Ant Light camera? That's what my guess would be.
Oh, that's probably it. They die once the battery goes to below 3.6. You got to ask Bob about that. You got to just contact Bob and ask him. I am not familiar with this issue, but obviously a 1S camera should work down to 3.0 at least.
Sure, yeah. Input on it should be 3.7 to 18. So if you're not running off a Beck, then when you get to 3.7, it's gonna die.
It says 3.7.
On the website, it says 3.7 to 18. So that sounds like normal, I would say.
Oh yeah. So if you're not running it off, if you're running it off VBAT on a 1S, that's what's happening, Miguel T. You need to run it off 5-volt regulator.
Yes.
Well done. Thank you, Blunty. Appreciate you looking that up. Kevin Turner. Oh, Kevin Turner. That's Evan Turner's dad, for those who don't know, and a person in his own right, with $20 super chat. Thank you so much, Kevin. Thanks for supporting the local Tiny Whip race. I went to a race, put up some prize money to make sure everybody had a good time, and I beat Kevin. I can't beat Kevin at 5-inch races, but he must have been having an off night because I beat him at the whoop race. So yay!
Nice.
I have something. I have something to. I made pro class. I don't know how that happened.
If you just mumble it, you could say, "I beat Kieran Turner." You know?
Yeah, right. Yeah, there were enough people who were slower than me that I ended up in pro class, and then of course I got immediately crushed. But there you go. Crabtree FPV, thank you so much, Mike Crabtree, for a $5 super chat as well. I beat TAC too. But I can't act like that's special because I don't want to give TAC. I'll be like, yeah, of course I beat TAC. Come on. But it doesn't sound like I'm putting him down, but I sure don't want to put him up. So anyway, I believe Evan Turner won that, although he was neck and neck with Rab. Rab was the TQ for most of the race, and then Rab had video issues in the last. He actually switched quads going into the last race because he was having video issues. So who knows what that's all about? But Evan ended
always the worst. Always the worst.
What can you do? But that's going to do it for the news. Thank you so much, Blunty. And thanks you guys for coming out.
Thank you very much, Joshua. So don't forget, like this video. If you haven't liked this video yet, go down there and subscribe. If for some reason you're not subscribed to this channel, and then when this video gets posted, go back and make a comment on it. You know, tell us how great it was and what you liked and what you didn't like, so you get that algorithm going.
If anybody wants to do the timestamps and put them in the comment, I will pin that comment. Kudos. And also, as long as we're talking about... Oh. Yes.
Don't forget to subscribe to the JB Clips channel.
That's what I was going to say. There is a link in the video description. The JB Clips channel has individual segments from the news as well as highlights from my live streams. And I'd love to have your subscription over there.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Good night, everybody. See you next week
Later,
on
guys.
Tuesday, as usual.
Tuesday.
Bye, everybody. All right, man, we're done.